Hey, sorry about that. I wanted to do a part two to that video about the rapture and the event. I left something for, I think I left something important out, something really important. Um, what the event, from my perspective, actually is, when you get into quantum physics, we know how all possibilities, all potentials are always playing out at once in a quantum field, in a field where light is able to take a quantum state or express itself in a vacuum. Um, you know, Processing force and form and all that crap I'm not going to get into all over again, as I always do in every video. um, but this event is where we experience collectively a condensing of the timelines, um, a condensing of all the timelines down to one of perhaps two or three, or maybe more potentials that divide the collective along a different course. Some down further, deeper into matter, into a state of further division from um, their divine state or knowledge of their internal divinity or their connection with the divine. Um, some people who've taken on the vibration of absolute ignorance toward or rejection of their inner divinity will experience a condensing down by their own vibration. They will resonate with a time pattern that will mark them for destruction or self-undoing, the path of self-undoing, where they'll be given, I'm assuming, another opportunity, but their spirits may be drawn on toward a course that uh, separates them entirely from their divinity, and that may end up being something to do with like virtual reality or um, the Borg mentality, where we are collective and we're nothing more than mathematical equations that equivalent to a mockery of soul intelligence. I have a call. And soul intelligence being the the state of the quantum state of awareness of the subconscious mind, being aware of its environment in a way that our conscious mind isn't. Um, it's that links us to the hyperconscious mind. It's throughout that back end that collects data from ourselves and feeds it up to the source up in here, and from here between each other and even to the rest of the universe through the planet, the Schumann resonance. We're all connected through all these intricate magnetic fields. So um, timelines are supposedly going to collapse that either guide people along a course of further into matter and self-undoing, maybe to incarnate into another life, where they play out in a way where they have um, the experience of absolute division from God and uh, unavoidable life, where you know their life may play out in a way that's typical and unfulfilling and for eternity, by their perspective, being trapped in time as an artificial construct that never dies. Um, and in the Bible, there are these scriptures that talk about in those days, people will seek death and it will flee from them. I mean, that's telling. So I don't know. It's possible. But then also, there's supposed to be those who, because of their vibration, they've abandoned ideas of polarity that draw them into natural conflict with themselves internally, and then externalize that conflict through their actions and create polarity in the world by adopting a perspective of inner division and outward division. So those folks who learn to um, choose love and compassion as the guiding impetus of their actions may take on a vibration that um, expands their sense of awareness, expands their sense of what's possible, expands their their innocence and their desire to know more about what's possible. So because they will hold that vibration, they will magnetically draw themselves into a timeline that resonates with new truth, the new way forward that matter is mathematically taking due to this massive phase shift in this rapture and this event, this shift. And it's just the shifting of sine wave patterns, um, the shifting of the phase wave patterns of these magnetic fields, um, due to a change in their frequency or a change um, in their location, I guess, even relative to the magnetic center, a change in their modality due to introduction of overwhelming, I guess, the you know what I'm trying to say. When we cross the magnetic center, you know how it imposes on magnetic fields. It flips them over. It goes from expansion to contraction, or from positive to negative polarity, or just a general shift in the other direction by our perspective will cause all type of changes to be made in the way we put things together logically, the way we desire things, the way we approach constructing our sense of identity. And it's being open to those principles, being open to those that possibility, that potential, that future, where anything is possible, is what will move you into the timeline where everything is possible. You get what I'm saying? Because it's a new potential, whole new birth of it's moving into a new house in astrology. And it represents evolution. We have no idea what that's supposed to look like, but we have an opportunity to build it. I can tell you what, it has amazing potential. We've seen what just the last 10 years have done to our explosion and our technological advancement, and even our spiritual understanding. And, I have so much to share. If I could ever get it all out in a way that, isn't supremely boring, will hold people's attention. I got a lot to share. I just got to get it all down. But anyway, that's my take on the shift. It's an actual jumping of timelines where, because of the collapse in timelines, people will experience, they'll have different experiences that will play out in a way where the world either gets better, maybe gets a little worse and then gets better. And then those who, due to their fear and their opposition, their lust for opposition, their lust for conflict, and their constant projection of the shadow and the things that, their own responsibility to set matters right in their own life and to govern their actions and to govern and be aware of their own emotions, they will continue to chase the shadow into their own self-destruction, because it's their own shadow they're chasing. And as long as there is someone to project that onto and someone who retaliates, there will be this reciprocation of conflict that, because of this rapture and intensification, this amplification of light, will only impose upon their magnetic conflict in a way that draws them into greater polarity, greater division, greater conflict, greater heat, the devil, right? Satan, Saturn, the restriction of the flow of light. So they'll experience a timeline where it guides them toward their own self-undoing because of their own karma, their own self-delusion, their own inability to reconcile that it's they who need to save themselves. It's those folks who will experience the Great Tribulation and be marked for Sheol, while those who allow the changes to take place in the mind, for they to become a more pure expression of their natal astrological or energetic archetypal makeup, which is just pure energetic potential, which must permit for the perfect flow of force and form to actualize. It can't be bound or restricted by our perspective about what's supposed to be true. It has to be malleable. It has to be subject to, it has to be open to change. Otherwise, it'll just be broken apart by overwhelming force and power. These luminaries, we think we're in resistance to the, God, we have no idea what's coming. I'm not going to get into that in this one, but I just wanted to provide my take on this shift because I think it does include what many will perceive to be an external event, maybe a show of light, but many people are so caught up in searching for this event to be something that takes place outside of them that they won't realize that they are blocking themselves from aligning with what the universe is trying to do, as opposed to what they want the universe to be doing, which will only draw them into conflict with their shadow. Does that make sense? Tell me what you think.